My name is Jordan. I run a series online called This Week in Linux. It's a YouTube-based video series I've been doing for about 8 or 9 months now, and I've had a relative amount of success with it. So I thought I would come here today and share with you a little bit that I've learned about doing video editing using Kdenlive. There's a common myth, a common misconception that in order to have decent video editing, or basically anything at all, you have to pay for it, or you have to go with something like a Mac OS X or Final Cut Pro, any of those really expensive, elaborate pieces of software. Linux comes with, or has the ability to have so many very easy to install, very easy to use applications that can do some wonderful things with a load of very advanced features that are not terribly difficult to get used to using. So today we're going to take a look, like I said, at Kdenlive. If you are using any modern major distro, Ubuntu, Fedora, Arch Linux, OpenSUSE, any of the, I've probably left out a dozen, but it is generally very easy to get it installed. If you go to their website, they've got installation instructions, and most of the major distros have the most up-to-date version, which is 0.7.7.1. That said, next week there will be a new version releasing. Not going to be talking about that because there are some major changes to it, and I have not had a chance to look at it. But let's go ahead and just get started with it. Like I said, if you go to any major distro, you just type on Ubuntu apt-get install Kdenlive, it'll pull down everything you need. But this is the default Kdenlive interface. It looks a little bit daunting at first, but it's really not all that bad. And one thing that I will tell you that makes it a little easier for me is get rid of the things that you're not going to use. One thing I hear very frequently is Kdenlive is buggy, it crashes a lot. Why does it crash so much? I honestly don't know why it crashes so much. It all depends on what you're doing. The undo history is one of the worst things in my opinion. One of the things that causes it to crash quite frequently for me. So I always just close it. If I'm going to undo something, I make sure to save first. That's one key thing to keep in mind. Save and save often. It does have an auto recover feature, but you want to make sure that you are saving just in case. Because I don't know how many times somebody has spent hours and hours creating a project, forgot to hit the save button, it crashes and you've just lost everything. So as soon as you start out, for now example, I'm going to hit file save just to make sure that I've got a copy of whatever I'm doing, which is nothing. But we'll just go ahead and go to my desktop and go to the OLF directory. And we'll create a project and call it OLF. And there we go, I have a project saved. So now anything that I do to this project, if Kdenlive crashes on me, we are good to go. We just open it back up and it will say, we found files that can be recovered, do you want to recover them? So we're good to go. Now we've gotten rid of the undo history. I also like to move the effect list around just because it's taking up unnecessary space, trying to make the clip monitor, the project monitor, as large as possible. So I'm just moving some things around here. You can feel free to experiment with the interface as you like, just to see what you're comfortable with. The parts that I find I use most often are the effects list, the project tree, the effects, these 4 tabs over here that you may or may not get in case you don't see them, and the timeline at the bottom. And depending on what you're doing, you may have several tracks, you may only have one. For today, we're probably going to be using 1 to 2 tracks, so not anything terribly complicated. So basically right here, we've got a relatively easy to use interface. You've got your project monitor on the upper left side, which is fine to open new files. On the right hand side, you've got the clip monitor where you can see live what it is that you're editing. And at the bottom is your timeline, which is live updating exactly what it is that your video is going to look like. So at this point, you want to add videos, images, music, whatever you want to start working on your first video. You can either, like we saw there, double click in this project tree area. You can hit this little button up here, which kind of looks like a film strip, to add clips, to add color clips, slideshows, to lots and lots and lots of things there. Or you can go into a directory that has videos in it and just drag them in. So let's say, for example, I'm going to take these videos I made at the aquarium, and I'm going to drag them into the project. There we go, we're ready to start editing. Now, if I want to take this 45-second clip and start making changes to it, I just drag it to one of the top lines down here at the bottom. These are the video tracks. You'll notice if we scroll on down, these bottom couple of tracks are a different color. Those are intended for audio only. Yes, those are intended for audio only. You can use audio in a video track, but it's always best to keep things separate. It makes it easier just to keep track of what you're doing. So back over at this, we've got one video in the top track, and we are ready to start making changes to it. If I were to hit play in the project monitor, it will start playing the video that I'm about to create. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There we go. And this is live, showing you exactly what the project would look like if I hit render right now. If I hit render right now, I would have a new video, whatever type of video you want to have. Now let's just say, for example, we get down here to the middle somewhere. Oh, that shark doesn't look quite right. I want to cut this part out entirely. So what I'm going to do at that point is either go up to clip, nope, not clip. Sorry, I always do the keyboard shortcut. So go to timeline, go to cut clip, and that will make a cut exactly where you are in the timeline. Now you'll notice on the right-hand side of that it says Shift plus R. That's what I always use. It saves a load of time. So if I hold Shift and hit R, puts a little line right here. Hard to see at this resolution, but there are two separate clips here, and they can be moved around by clicking and dragging. So for example, if you wanted to reverse the order of your clips, if for example you wanted to take the end and put it at the beginning, just drag things around, move it to wherever you want it to be. I normally do this with the mouse, so apologies for that. Anyway, so now we've cut the clip, we've moved things around. Let's say, for example, you wanted you were recording a concert and you wanted to rearrange the order in which they sang the songs. You could make a cut at the beginning of a song, a cut at the end of the song, and just make your own DVD of the live performance, if you were so inclined. But yeah, at this point, if I wanted to cut out a section, like I said, you make a Shift R to cut it, you make a Shift R in the second place to cut it again, and then you can either right click and go to delete, or hit the delete key and it will remove it from your timeline. One thing you might want to make sure you do, keep something at every point in your timeline. Otherwise, you'll be playing the video, and then you go to black. Without fading out, without fading your audio.